Welcome to the First Spell boxing show with myself, Johnny Nelson, and of course, Spencer Oliver, the man that knows everything and anything there is to know. Been a long time, man. A couple of weeks.
It has. Do you know what? There's something different about you.
I know.
There's something. Can you see something different about it?
Let's not talk about it.
Wow. Wow. So there's a lot of that celebrity stuff going on at the moment in their boxing, ex-boxers coming back and whatnot.
It's never got him. I saw actually Tony
sure?
Bellew talking about fighting for the what title it was, up above cruiserweight, and so.
But you are the longest reigning cruiserweight champion ever in history, in the universe.
I know. But let's just leave it.
Let's get on with the show.
Let's get into boxing. Tyson Fury and Ngannou.
Yes.
A good way to start with the heavyweights. What's your thoughts on that?
You know what? Of course, everybody's disappointed with this whole situation with Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, undisputed, not happening, frustrations, all the big fights what we want to see, we're not getting. I understand it a little bit though from the business side of things. I understand, speaking to Frank Warren and them struggling to get the fight over the line. The Saudis not coming up with the money that it was meant to be getting, never receiving an offer. So what does Tyson Fury do? Where does he go? This fight comes up. So from the business point of view, I understand it because he's getting a phenomenal amount of money to box Francis Ngannou, who's the best in his sport. Yeah. The best at what he does. And it's a tick-over fight whilst he's waiting for these big fights. I understand it, but I also understand the frustration of the people as well. I mean, what do I make of the fight? Ngannou's having his first professional boxing fight. I've been watching him actually on YouTube.
Ridiculous
I've been watching him on YouTube. He actually ain't bad. Yeah. And he's heavy-handed. But here's the huge problem. He's slow.
Yeah.
And Tyson Fury, as we know, is a guy.
The problem will be this. You saw what Tyson Fury did after having so much time off, getting in there with Derek. He played with him.
Yeah.
Played with him.
Yeah.
And so on. And he's very skilled at doing that. But when it comes down to this fight here, remember when it was first announced, Frank Warren and everybody saying it's a game changer. It ain't no game changer. It's a gossip maker. That's what it is. So again, Tyson Fury says, I've retired. He's still making ridiculous dough now as a retired fighter saying, I'm going... I don't know if this fight's an exhibition or a fight.
It's a fight.
It's a fight.
It's a fight. I believe it's over 10 rounds. It's a fight. There is a winner and there's a loser. Fury, Fury's... I understand from his point of view where he's at and whilst he's taking this fight. Because from the business point of view, from the commercial point of view, here's one for you, right? Pay-per-view numbers. When Frank Warren's talking about game changer, that's what he's talking about. The pay-per-view numbers for this will be insane. Because the people that are slagging this fight are the boxing fans, When you speak to the UFC fans, I spoke to a guy that's a UFC fan, right? And this is the crazy thing about it. They're very casual on the boxing. You know where I'm going, don't you? He's like, Tyson Fury taking that fight. Is he crazy? But that's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is, boxing fans are a very small part of it, but it's going to be a huge crossover, and pay-per-view numbers are going to be insane.
So when Floyd Mayweather boxed Conor McGregor, I was out there, and you could not believe the McGregor fans were going crazy, thinking, "Hey, are you mad? He'll get slaughtered." Yeah. And so boxing fans are thinking, "This is like a done deal. What are you talking about?" Yeah. So again. Both
biggest pay-per-view numbers ever, by the way.
Mad pay-per-view, and that was McGregor's big payday as well. That's cemented left, right, and centre. So now you've got the same situation again happening with the heavyweights. One fraction went on Ngannou's side. They're thinking he's our god. We know him. We're into our sport. We get it. The boxing side, we think boxing snobbery. You think you've got no chance, not a chance in hell. In the ring. Yeah. Maybe in the octagon, maybe it'd be very different. But I think as a fighter that's making ridiculous dough, this is good business. Yeah, it's good business. As when it comes to boxing snobbery, we can all say, it's his first professional fight. But you know what? He's a prize fighter. He's making dough at the top. He's doing the best he can.
But from the entertainment value. Don't say it's not going to be good. That's what I'm saying. The build-up will be good fun. And Ngannou's a good talker as well. Yeah. He's entertaining as well. We know what Fury does. We saw the press conference. We saw what that was all about. And I just think the build-up to it, from an entertainment value, I think it's going to be a good fight. I mean, not a good fight. I think it's going to be, because it's a one-sided fight for me. But I think it's going to be, from an entertainment value, it's going to be a wicked week.
Samuel Ngannou, tell me about him. Give me some background.
Right, I'm going to give you a bit of background on Ngannou. He's had 20 fights in the UFC, won 17. The 3 that he's lost are by decision. He's 6'4". He's around 18 sort of stone, round about that. And this is a fact for you, right? You're going to like this one. Francis Ngannou is in the Guinness Book of Records for the single hardest punch ever.
Jeez.
So, heavyweight boxing.
Yeah. One punch changes everything.
Yeah, one punch changes everything. Will he land it? No. What's the problem with that? He's too slow. This is my thoughts. But, as you know, Fury goes in there and messes around. He's got a chance of landing a shot. A very slim one, admittedly. But that's what Francis Ngannou is all about. He's a tough guy, and he's going in there. He's coming into a new sport.
Yeah.
He can throw hands, by the way. I've seen him. You can get this on YouTube. If you type in Francis Ngannou training with Mike Tyson, there's another link as well. Mike Tyson is a student of the game, right? You know that. Mike Tyson. So we see Tyson, and he's doing the sort of customato stuff where he's showing him to slip inside and do this and that.
But Ngannou's makeup is not like Mike Tyson's on. Even though Mike Tyson might be showing him a few tricks as a trade, you've got to understand Mike Tyson's stature. That is like just a muscle. He left, right, and centre and put the pressure on. Ngannou's too big to try and adopt that style. That's the worst thing.
The problem that Ngannou's got is, so if you use like Dillian Whyte as an example, Francis Ngannou's a similar sort of stature to Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte's obviously a much better boxer than Francis Ngannou. And look how Fury played with him. And that's the big problem. Tyson Fury is the #1 heavyweight in the world on the planet right now. But there's no doubt about that. He's tall, he's rangy, his boxing IQ is unbelievable. And I think it'll just be one of those where Fury might play around with him for a few rounds, put on a little bit of a show, but at some point, we'll try and get the job done. But what we've got from Ngannou is, we've got a guy that'll go in there, and he's a proud man, and he'll try and
put it on him. It could end early.
And he'll try and put it on him, you know? So
Tyson Fury may not have, and I know this is, it'll drive people a bit crazy. He might not have that one punch knock. He'll weigh it down kind of guy, and then the one punch to it. But so if Ngannou goes in there and he's getting hit by Tyson, you think I can take this.
Sure.
But when you get hit once after another, and all of a sudden legs have gone, chin's gone, it's all over. What would be your take on Tyson's next move?
Great question. I think that Tyson's next move, right? So with everything that's been going on in the heavyweight landscape right now, we're going to get onto this in a minute, and where Anthony Joshua is, what his next move is, what Alexander Usyk's next move, what Deontay Wilder's next move is, because they're the four main heavyweights here. So I can understand that, speaking to Frank, the fights weren't there to be made, so Tyson's decided to take this fight. Massive money, business is good business. So I understand where we're going with that. What is his next move after that? I think he has to go into the Usyk fight after that. Otherwise, he's in danger of damaging his legacy, and he's in danger of losing all credibility. And that's the thing. He don't give a shit. Yeah. That's the point. And listen, would you care? Like, don't tell me any one of you guys there, if he was offered what's he getting, 30 million quid or something like that? So, whatever, maybe a bit more. That's what I'm saying. You would do it, man, and there will be eyeballs on it, and he's touching a different crowd as well. The demographic will be totally different. Yeah. So I do understand it, and I think that people will love the entertainment value of it. But Tyson Fury, for me, I think gets this fight out of the way. We need to see Fury in with. We don't want to see him in with Deontay Wilder again, although the first three were unbelievable, and we will probably see a fourth. You know what I mean? I don't want it, but. Ideally, I want to see. Do you know what? I want to see Tyson Fury in with Anthony Joshua. That's a huge fight. But I want to see Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk for the undisputed. Yeah. So I think I've watched. Where are you sat with it? I watched Tyson Fury on his that family show, At Home with the Furies or whatever. I was on that, by the way. And episode 8. Oh, I'll watch it again. and I watched when I was watching his reaction, his family's reaction when he was watching Anthony Joshua lose to Usyk again. You could see he was a fighter with an itch. Yeah. You could see, you recognise it, and he was kind of pissed. And everybody else around him didn't actually get it. Yeah, sure. He was kind of pissed, and that ignited him. And I bet you the same thing again when he saw Usyk against Daniel Dubois. He'd have thought, I could do this, fella. And the appetite for that, he'd have thought. So realistically, even though he said, I'll never fight the gap tooth, whatever it is, I think realistically, he's whetting his appetite. After watching Alexander Usyk versus Daniel Dubois, I was out there in Poland actually. We was commentating on it for TalkSport, and watching it up close and watching Usyk's weaknesses and when he's under pressure, exactly that body shot, which was not a low blow, by the way. It wasn't a low blow. You know, that's another whole conversation. But I just thought, do you know what? After watching that, Tyson Fury would ragdoll Usyk. He's too smart, and he knows. Fury does what he wants. He can box on the front foot. He can box sideways. He box backwards. He's one of those guys that's gifted in every department, right? So, and I just think that he would outmuscle Usyk. You know what I mean? Usyk's a smart fighter, and he needs to be given the space, but he doesn't like it when he's put under the hammer. He doesn't like it after he went down with that body blow, Usyk against. Daniel Dubois. When he got up for about 40 seconds after, he was all over the place, man. He was like, so the shots were going in and like he was losing eye contact. He was there. Do you know when you recognise a fighter's panicking a little bit? That's what he got. And I went, that's not good for if you're fighting someone like Tyson Fury.
And that's what I'm saying. I think when fighters recognise that in another fighter, the public, when they see it, they think you're hating. They think but actually you see things in other fighters. There's things that were said about Daniel that only fighters can say about how the fight ended. There's things that can be said about Usyk that only fighters can say that we recognise. Think, you know what, he's got that.
Because you're in that moment when you're watching it. That's what I was saying. With that 40 seconds after the knockdown, when he got up for the 4-minute rest period that he had, I went, he's not comfortable here. He's in a bad spot. And then when the fight had finished against Daniel Dubois, when Daniel went down, right? I tell you what happened there. It wasn't a case of Daniel Dubois people going, he swallowed it. Fighters don't do that. What I was saying is he blew a gasket in round, I think it was round 7 or round. He had a good round. He went for it, and then Usyk turned it around. The
fight had gone out of him, and that's why I just think.
And I think the fight just left him.
And I think everybody looks at a fight and thinks he's unbeatable until he's beaten. I think Usyk, people again have had that. This guy's unbeatable. That fight showed he's beatable.
Absolutely.
So it might have changed a few people's perceptions of that situation in the Tyson Fury situation. And if I'm honest, I've always thought Tyson Fury would have his number. But I think the way negotiations or publicly it's gone, I think the only person that didn't fancy it was Tyson Fury. Because I'm thinking, Tyson, take this, man.
But
it was a good shout. But you know what? Onwards and upwards for Tyson. I think he can shout it however he wants. Where do you
see Tyson actually after this fight? So this fight happens. What do you see the landscape of the heavyweight division right now? Like if we talk about, let's get into Tyson first. Where does he go from here? And what do you think he needs to do to get the credibility and not lose the credibility?
I'm going to kick myself for saying this because I've always kind of poo-pooed it because we've been teased so many times in regards to Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. Because I said that's never going to happen. It's like being teased. But I actually think that is a fight that now can be made because Anthony Joshua's at a stage in his career where he goes and fights Deontay Wilder. Where I would think, you know what, after the last 2 performances, you need to just get your shit together. Or you're going in and fight Tyson Fury. It's not as a concussive puncher as Deontay Wilder, but there's probably more of a chance. I know that sounds mad, even though I think Tyson Fury's top of the tree.
Stylistically, I understand it.
But yeah. So what I'm saying, I think now, realistically, that's something Tyson Fury can actually look over his shoulder. But unfortunately, there's a lot of egos involved. So you've got Frank Warren, you've got Eddie Hearn, you've got different TV companies that are arguing. And it's the business that's spoiling the show. So these guys, there's a good chance it could happen, but the business then behind it, they're the ones that spoil the show.
So here's where I see it. I don't think Anthony Joshua boxes Deontay Wilder next. I don't think that happens. I think Joshua boxes again in December. Against who? I'm not sure yet. I believe that Deontay Wilder boxes in November agast who? I'm not sure yet. Tyson Fury.
You know this, don't you? You tell me you don't think. You know this. You can't say stuff.
I just want to look like a genius. You know what I mean? I want to look like a genius. And this is where I see it. I think Anthony Joshua might box Tyson Fury before Fury boxes Usyk. And for the reasons that you just stated there as well, I think that Joshua's in that position where I think that fight may be closer now than it ever was. And I think Usyk versus Fury may be further away than it ever was. And I want to tell you why, because of the money in Saudi, I don't think he's right there right now. And I just believe the biggest heavyweight fight out there, like it or not, financially for both guys and pay-per-view sales, etc., is Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. That is a fact.
I'm kicking myself for actually agreeing because not agreeing for actually saying this is a more realistic opportunity of happening. So speaking of Anthony Joshua, his next opponent wise, it's probably not going to be Deontay Wilder. No. Any ideas who you think it might be?
No ideas of who it may be. I really don't know that, if I'm totally honest. But I believe that he fights again in December because he wants to fight again in December. The Wilder fight, I don't think is going to get made. I am hearing that Wilder is possibly out in November. I think that's what they're talking about. I don't know who the opponents are.
The Ruiz should have been. They were talking Ruiz, but that's out the window. That's gone.
I think that Ruiz outpriced himself.
All right. Okay.
I believe that Ruiz outpriced himself. Doesn't mean that he can't come back in the mix though. So because you've only got a small pool of heavyweights really for these 4 heavyweights that we're talking about right now. There's only a small pool of heavyweights that are credible.
Can you imagine getting them all around the table? That'd be bad. Getting them all around the table and just having a bit of that'd be wicked.
Who do you see fighting who, and what route do you see? So I'll give you my route. Where do you see it?
I think Tyson Fury fights AJ. I think Tyson Fury beats AJ. Whatever. I think Usyk. Depending on how the Joe Joyce situation goes on with his rematch.
Do you think Usyk goes in with Wilder before Usyk gets in with Joshua?
No. I honestly, I don't think. I think styles make fights, and I think Usyk's people will keep him away from Wilder, even though he's 10 miles ahead in regards to talent and skill. That punch power is far too dangerous to give away to somebody you've got to try and kid and con and get in. So you avoid Wilder as much as possible.
Yeah.
You get blinkers on.
He's the dangerous. He's the dangerous card.
Even though technically he's not the best out of the, he's the worst out of them.
Would you keep Joshua away from Wilder?
Yes. Technically, Wilder is the worst out of them, but power-wise, he's the best out of them.
Yeah.
So therefore, any of the fighters that are there, stay well away from Deontay Wilder, regardless of how much time he's had out, because it takes that split second.
Yeah, sure.
And it's all over. So I think Usyk and Wilder, I know it's a great idea, but I think that conversation won't be had. And they'll find somebody, they might, as you say, bring...
Would Usyk beat Wilder? See, I think he would. I'm not sure that Wilder... I think that Usyk might be a bit too smart for Wilder.
Yeah, listen, I'm with you. I'm totally with you. But it just takes that
one shot. I agree.
Second. I think, as I said, Usyk's much technically better than Wilder. And he wears you down. You just needs that split second. So... I don't know I answered that, but how's it gone for you?
We sort of never got there with him there, did we? But yeah, I think that's what I say to you. I think that we could possibly see Usyk versus Wilder. This is the mad one because I don't know this because I know you think that I do know stuff and I don't. But I think that you're more likely to see Joshua Fury, Usyk, Wilder before the original one, which is Fury, Usyk, Joshua, Wilder. I don't think that won't happen that way. I don't think, and so I think that it may just mix around.
Let's go back to Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce he's got his rematch against Zhang. He needs to win this. He needs to win this. He was on a roll.
Johnny, when they mentioned the immediate rematch and that Joyce had, took the immediate rematch, I was like, you are crazy. Like that, I would not have gone near that. I don't know why you've gone to do that, but now I sort of understand it. So I think that Joe recognises with the way the landscape of the heavyweights are working at the moment, that fight he needs to. It's do or die in many ways, as in career-wise for him, because if he turns it around, it's a great victory because it's all about adaptability.
Do you think he can turn it around?
Is that important?
No.
Oh, right. Yes. Can he turn it around? Right, so here we go. Right, so Joe Joyce. I'm going to give you some stats now. Right?
This is why this guy's a genius.
I'm going to give you the stats.
You don't understand when we're working. I'll go, yo, Spenny, fill me in. And I'm going to give you some
stats, right? So Joe Joyce weighed 18 stone 2 when he boxed Zhang, who weighed 19 stone 8. Right? But Joe Joyce, I think the idea behind that, and I think that this is he's admitted this himself now that they got it massively wrong. The idea behind that was that they wanted Joe Joyce to have that movement and mobility to beat Zhang and take him into the later rounds where Joyce then wears them down and breaks them down and everything else. And I think that was the idea, to take the fight into the second half and do that. Massive mistake, huge mistake coming in at 18 stone 2. To give you an idea of where Joyce is, another little stat for you, right? 19 stone 3. Joe Joyce weighed when he boxed Joe Parker. That was the best performance of his career. 19 stone 3, he would have been out of hold his own there with Zhang. That's what I'm thinking. So I think, how does Joe Joyce do this? He hasn't got the adaptability. We know what he does. He is the juggernaut. He walks forward. He's quite one-dimensional, but he just uses his brute strength, and that's what's got him to where he is. For some weird reason, they tried to. If it's not broke, don't fix it. And they tried to fix it. And
it's called 3 smart.
Yeah, 3 smart. Yeah, exactly. So that's exactly what he'd done. I think what he needs to do is he needs to come in at 19 stone 3 plus. Yeah. And use his brute strength, because he's got to try and out-muscle him, because there's nothing else Joe can do. He doesn't win in the speed like... So if you look at the fight, Zhang's boxing out the southpaw stance, second round, boom, left hand through the middle, Joyce goes, because the punch resistance, as you know, Johnny, right, when you're down at your weight, the punch resistance is like someone's hitting you with a bat sometimes when you're lower. Joyce was way too low. Legs are gone, and then Joe was like just sitting in the pocket all the time, so Zhang just had to throw his hands and he was hitting him. So I say to Joe's got to control the space in this fight, just be half a step out of range, and then just come back the way that he does when Zhang comes. But he was standing in the pocket, so Zhang just had to let his hands go and do it. So I think that Joe needs to come in. It's all about the weight for me. I think that Joe needs to come in 19 plus for him to be able to turn it around.
So in my head, in the last fight, Joe got greedy. As in getting greedy, he tried to knock him out. Worst thing you can do, because like Joe, when you fight Joe, you think, I'll outpunch him, and eventually you're gassing yourself out and boom. So what he's been doing to everybody else was done to him. What Joe should do is Joe should not get greedy, be Joe, in it, bam, 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 let the shots go, but don't get greedy. And this happens when you fight somebody that's easy to hit. When I was at cruiserweight and I fought heavyweights, you can get greedy and you get with heavyweights because you're fast and you can whack him and whack him again. You think, I'm going to get rid of him. And it's whack, 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 whack. It's still there and you're gassed.
Do you know the crazy...
And that was a problem. I think that's what happened to Joe in the last fight. In this fight, Joe's got to be consistent, be the juggernaut, bap, bap, let the shots go, in and out. Don't stand in the pocket with the guy because you're coming up against a bigger version of yourself. But he's smarter than Zhang, and that's how he beats him as far as I see it.
Do you know the crazy thing that Joe? This is self-confessed as well, by the way. He said that he believed their own hype of like, I can't be hurt, and he went in there thinking, I'm just going to steamroll him, I can't be hurt. He said, this is self-confessed. He said this. I saw an interview that he posted a couple of days ago, saying that, I believed in my own hype, that I could go in there and I was indestructible and I was the juggernaut, I could just walk through people. He's learnt a huge lesson from that, and I think that makes a big difference, because it was 6 one-sided rounds for me when he boxed Ali Zhang. So how did he turn it around? People were saying, what, if he just puts on another stone and a half, that's going to change things? No, I just think he's going to be a bit smarter as well. He won't be as ambitious. Like you say, I think that he'll just wait for the opportunity, and then when he goes, go.
Yeah, as I'm saying, if he does it that way and doesn't get greedy and just it's like water on stone, bap, bap, then there's more chance of Zhang thinking, you know what, this is too much one-way traffic and stopping, or him beating him well on points. But if he gets greedy, that's exactly what Zhang wants.
Can he win?
Yeah, he can win. I do believe he can win. I believe he does win. I'm very surprised and shocked at what you said about him saying he believed in his own hype.
He believed in, because he thought he was indestructible.
Yeah, and we were always told, never believe the good things they say about you or the bad things they say about you. They don't know what happens inside the ring, so inside the gym. And so for Joe to fall for such a rookie mistake of believing in the hype, he should know better. He should know better than that.
But look at 19 stone 3 when he beat Joseph Parker. For me, I think he boxed exceptional that night. And I know that Parker's a different style to Ali Zhang and everything else, but I just think that he needs a bit of muscle, he needs a bit of weight on him, and I think that will carry him through. Tough fight for him. Respect for him for taking that, because we've got these heavyweights at the moment. It's all about the money, and he won't fight him, and he won't fight him. Politics getting in the way. Joe Joyce is a little bit old school, to be fair, because you go, that's a fight that if I was involved in the team, I'd go, I don't know if we need that again. But it's like, because it's a career definer, really, isn't it?
So talking of the heavyweights, where do you think it leaves Daniel Dubois in this in the mix? Where do you think it leaves him?
Well, I know they've made that appeal. That's official now, that they've made the appeal for Alexander Usyk. I don't think they'll get anywhere with that. I think that, because it's one of them subjective things that the referee says it was an accidental low blow. It wasn't a low blow, because I see the waist guard was here, and I know you've seen all these shitty pictures and whatnot, but I was at ringside, and you know yourself, when you hit on the waistband, it may have been technically a low blow, and that's how they're going to get out of it, but the referee straight away went accidental low blow, and Usyk done what he'd done. He was playing around on the floor. He was buying all the time. But if the referee would have went to him, get up, the problem for Daniel Dubois was he was in the corner and he lost all momentum. Whereas I'd be pumped and think, well, don't care if it's 10 minutes, I'm going to put it on him. Daniel lost momentum, and he made the mistake of giving him the space and allow him to recover. So where does it leave him now? I don't think he gets the rematch. I don't think that the appeal will come to anything. But I think he come out with credibility from it. I think he boxed well. He's 25 years of age. I mean, this kid, like, if you look at all of them, what's Usyk? What's Usyk, 37? Deontay Wilder's 40 odd, is he? 39, 40?
Most heavyweights don't mature until they're in their 30s.
Yeah, but there you go.
So as long as Daniel Dubois mentally strong enough to ignore the negativity that he's getting, as far as he's concerned, then he will grow from it. And a loss doesn't mean anything in our fight game. Unfortunately, it means a lot to sell a fighter for TV and to promoters. But in reality, a loss is a great learning stage for any fighter. So I think if there was a rematch, the same thing, it'll lose again. I think the difference is he just make the decent money again. But where does he go? I think he's in that mix. I think he's at a fight with somebody like, I don't know, in that mix you can put him in there.
Like Philip Hergovich, he's a force to be reckoned number with. One, isn't he? Philip, they're talking about Philip possibly against Alexander Usyk if these fights don't happen.
Did you see the sparring with Hergovich and Wilder?
I just watched it on the way in.
Hergovich
he was 19.
And was it Hergovich that cut David Haye when David should have boxed Fury? No. In the gym. Remember when he got the cut?
I think it was him, yeah.
And I can remember that thinking, this kid's hot.
I watched him, he was 19 years of age, right? And he was sparring Deontay Wilder. He bashed Wilder up, by the way. It was in David Haye's gym.
Yeah.
I was watching it on the way.
There's just something about it. Sometimes he's fighting and he just switches off.
Yeah.
In the fight, and I'm like, what's going on here?
But what did you make of Hergovich when he boxed Zhang? Because I thought he lost that fight, by the way. But there was times there when you looked at him and thought
he switched off.
He's going to come, and he's going to pull himself out of this.
Yeah, he switched off.
But he showed that mental strength to get through the fight, and Zhang blew a gasket in the last quarter, I think.
I think Hergovich is he's an emotional kind of fighter because I suppose like Oliver McCall when he walked in against like his head was up his arse. And I don't know what's going on in his head. Because sometimes mid-fight, he switches off like, I don't want any of this. And then he has an argument with himself and he's back in it again. But he's one, keep an eye on him because he'll upset the apple cart. And even though he's a name in our world, I think commercially, can they put him in a position to put bums on seats, be that fighter where everybody wants to come watch him?
Do you know what? Do you think if Joe Joyce pulls this off and he does Zhang, Hergovich Joyce would be a great fight as well. That would be a great fight.
Be a wicked fight. Would the people behind them take the risk? I don't know. I don't know. But
I suppose all we got to say about that is, come on, promoters, get this together. Get these fights on. We've been talking the best part of 3 years now. I'm getting pissed off. Mr. Nelson's getting pissed off. We need to see the fights.
Let's rewind a little bit. Let's talk Chris Eubank Jr. And the fallout. And the split. After such a sensational win against Liam Smith, and where does he go from here?
Yeah, well, listen, I think that it was a great win. Like we're both guilty of this, by the way. We both went. There's no way you can turn that around. That was so conclusive, the first one with Liam Smith. But I know also that Liam, in the build-up to this one, he was pulled out a couple of times, didn't he, through injury. I think he's gone into this fight, although he said that he was clear of injury, right? I want to talk about this a little bit, actually. He said that he was over any injuries or whatever. I think he didn't push the date back anymore because the date would have gone. That's where I think it was. And it was one of those fights at that stage of their career, he goes, listen, I think I'm well enough to win this fight. When he went in there, did you see him rolling his feet and stuff? And I'm going, from the first bell, right, coordination weren't there. Like, the feet weren't working together. And then he kept coming up rolling his feet. I went, there's a serious problem here. I picked it up from round 2, actually. And you could see in his performance, I think he dropped like 3 stone in weight in the last week or something ridiculous that his weight was anyway. And I just think there was massive problems. So, but that's taking nothing away from Chris, because Chris had to deal with a lot of demons. As you know, Johnny, right? When you get beat up like the way that he did in the first fight, you go, to come back and win that fight was incredible, man. So it's mental strength.
So this was the issue. The issue was this. When I can remember looking back at the fight, and every one of us on the panel, myself, Natasha, can't remember who else was there, asked who we think, George Groves.
Yeah.
Who do you think will win? Liam. And every one of us says no chance.
He'd be mad not to, yeah.
And because there was no justifiable argument to give Chris a chance at beating Liam. Now, anybody that's out there, apart from his team, that's saying no, are talking shit. And so the only thing is this: the only thing you had to live on was you had to believe that in what Chris said it was just pure luck. In reality, and the first fight, Chris was actually ahead on points.
Yeah.
Until that round, he got turned.
He had a good round. But
he wanted us to believe it. I'm thinking the way you got slaughtered. I'm sorry, mate. So for him to turn it around the way he turned it around, the way he conducted himself afterwards, I thought it was a gent. It was cool.
Yeah.
It had it on point. I think everybody and anybody that wrote him off have to say, you know what, the shit we gave you, with the praise we've got to give you as well.
Absolutely.
I think he did brilliantly. Again, I was in the press conference afterwards. Some of the Smith fans were a little irate and upset. And they were verbally going at Eubank's team, and I thought, you know what, boys, you're sore losers.
Yeah.
Your man lost. You know, it was completely different in the press conference before. Now, don't do that. And I always sensed in the crowd, in the first fight and the second fight, there was just a nasty undercurrent there.
I agree.
Even in the press conference, took it down. I thought, you don't need to be ashamed of yourselves because you should know better. It's okay when we're winning, but when we lose, we're going to give you shit. I didn't like that at all. But Chris handled himself very, very well. I went into the dressing room afterwards to apologise to Chris. And it was funny, man, because I was like the pariah walking in. It was like tumbleweed. They all just turned.
I saw that was on YouTube, right? It's on YouTube, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I thought I got to follow my sword here. And Derek said before the bit on YouTube came on.
This is Chisora, right?
Yeah, Derek Chisora. He said, Johnny, you need to shut. Why do you say stuff like that? And I said, because Derek, I've got to sleep at night. If I tell you something today, I've got to be able to argue with you about it tomorrow. But if I'm bullshitting you, I'm saying to you what everybody else wants to say, then I've got no argument. I cannot justify my decision. Sure. So and David's like in the corner there, and afterwards David said, you know what, you're right. Unless you're in the team, unless you knew, I don't think any one of the team, unless you were tight, believe that could have happened.
You walked into the Lions Den there. When you walked in, I see them, they was coming at you from all way. Johnny's got his slip, he's blocking, he's rolling. Like, they was firing at you from everywhere, weren't they?
Yeah, but you know what? You've got to give respect to when you do that, especially when you flip someone over. Because I like Chris. I think he's a very intelligent, articulate young man. I like him. His bullshit in our game has actually got him to where he is. He got him unbelievable paydays. He's got him talking kind of, you know, his name is Chris Eubank Jr. Now instead of talking about his dad, it's just Junior talking about. So he's done a great job in regards to PR for himself. Where does he go from here? I seriously believe that the only time the Conor Ben fight happens, regardless of what they say, is when Conor gets his license back.
Yeah.
I think putting out there saying he's fighting him next, or
September 23rd, he's fighting in Orlando. September 30th, possibly London. You go, where's that coming from?
It's passive pressure. So if you create that kind of conversation, the public then jump on board. You put pressure on people. They start believing it. So nothing's changed. It's still a good fight, but that won't happen until Conor's got his license sorted out. Yeah,
totally agree. Did you see, by the way, to finish this off, Chris Eubank, when he went back to his house? Did you see the video of him going back to his house? And I have to mention this because this is the humane side of Chris Eubank, right? Lump in my throat, like, you know, he's a great salesman, and we know what he is. He's like a chip off the old block, like his old man. He's got that sort of DNA. He builds up this character. We saw the real Chris Eubank, and how emotional was that when he went back for his late brother's little child, who he now calls him daddy as well. Can you believe that? But it was just seeing him going back there and cuddling him and whatnot. That was the beautiful side of Chris Eubank.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and that's why I thought doing that. Again, I said how he conducted himself afterwards. It was classy. Yeah, it was classy. I don't think he's really chopped into Liam Smith afterwards. And he could have said, you know what, I didn't make any excuses when I got turned over, only apart from the fact that it was a miracle. Yeah. And the elbow. That was it, a bit of tongue in cheek. But to show that side of him, I thought you have definitely gone up in my estimation.
I saw him. I'd just come back from doing a show out in Abu Dhabi, and he was out there. Chris Eubank, it was this like rising stars of Arabia, this young kids, 1-0, 2-0, like very, you know, like just the rising talent of the area, of the region, really. Chris Eubank was out there, Chris Eubank Jr. and Badu Jack.
Of course, Badu Jack.
And I spotted Chris over and I thought, am I seeing right here? What is he doing? Anyway, so I went over and that was the only thing I talked to him about. I said, firstly, obviously, congratulations, you proved us all wrong, which is a great thing. But I just said to him, I've got to tell you about this video, mate, and you know what it done to you know, touch us. And he was like, he was very grateful. He's a nice guy, you know, Chris. Yeah. He's a really nice guy, down to earth guy. People don't see that side of him. I'm glad that they've seen the video. If you haven't seen that, have a look on YouTube. You can get that up there. Just put in Chris Eubank's reunion or something like that with his nephew.
Let's just rewind a little bit. Quick prediction. I think we've got a couple of minutes left. First of all, before we get there, a massive thank you to Nike in their headquarters here in King's Cross.
What a setting! Look at that.
We got to keep them sweet because we got to come back, man. Predictions on Ngannou Fury.
Well, I think you'd be an absolute idiot if anyone chose Ngannou, wouldn't they? Don't like in the ring. This is, and let's talk about the cage afterwards. Yeah. But in the ring, Fury and Ngannou. How does it go? I think Ngannou comes out like a bull in a china shop. He goes there. Fury makes a little show of it. He does a little bit of a dance, crowns him up, ties him up, does a few little shots, and boom, takes him out. Probably after about 4 or 5 rounds.
What about in the cage? Do you think they've had a little side deal and said, I'll fight you in the ring, then fight in the cage afterwards?
It's possible.
Do you think Tyson would be that crazy to do that?
Do you think Tyson's not crazy? Does anyone think that Tyson's not crazy?
Crazy in a nice kind of way.
Do you think that Tyson is not unpredictable? Yeah. Do you think that Tyson likes to do things that Tyson Fury likes to push the boundaries? He likes to test himself, and I think that's where he's at in his career right now. I think that he's one of those guys where he's like, yeah, come on, let me try that. If I beat him in the cage, then I'll go in. Then it's like. Goes into another level.
I think that's like the psyche of fighters. Even when you've retired, because we've always lived with that discipline.
Yeah.
A fight hanging over in a few months' time or whatever. And when you've retired, what happens with a lot of fighters is they lose that discipline. And we're like school leavers. Oh my God, I can drink, I can smoke, I can eat. So we blow up, and then a lot of them hit their headlines for the wrong reasons once they retire. But as long as you keep creating those kind of discipline tricks for yourself mentally. Be it fasting one day, be it giving yourself a challenge, be it something like that. I think it's so important. And I see that in Tyson Fury. So he's always forever giving himself a challenge.
I think it's up.
Yeah.
I think we're done.
I can hear the bell.
That was the bell.